Hi, welcome to episode 84 of the Project Joyful podcast. Now, there are times when, despite all our good work focusing on active recovery, putting those rituals in place that lead to better quality sleep, or choosing our predominant emotional state, that life gets in the way. So what do you do when the deadlines are looming and you're feeling way behind? Or if you're about to give a presentation and you're just not feeling it, or public speaking just isn't your thing? Sometimes we simply have to choose to lean into the moment. So this episode is for when those inevitable moments do arise. Join me as I share my 3 favourite hacks for managing stress in the moment. Let's get started, shall we? Well, hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Project Joyful podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Tutty, your medical herbalist and high performance coach. So, hey, Project Joyful isn't just about being happy. It's about consciously creating a life you love. It's about remembering how to reconnect with your soul-centered joy. You know, that joy that comes from doing what you love, from living on purpose, and from being in a life that allows you to experience deep joy moment by moment. So hey, let's get started, shall we? Has there ever been a time when you're up against the clock? The deadline's looming, your significant other isn't happy because you're still at work, but you've just got to get your head down and get it done. We could talk about all the things that you can do around that moment in time, such as boosting sleep quality, scheduling an active recovery, or more importantly, making that active recovery bespoke to you so that it supercharges your recovery every single time. We could talk about the herbs, the food, the nutraceuticals that you can lay over that dialed in foundation so that you've got that boost when you need it most. When you're in that moment, when you're panicking deep inside about what's left to do, or you've read that paragraph 3 times now because you're wired and tired, what can you do to help yourself in that moment? The biggest mistake I see when people are caught in this situation is that they think they need to hype up, to work longer. They forget to move. And I'm talking about getting up from your desk, not just going to the gym or walking around the block. They're glugging down another coffee or another energy drink. They reach for that candy bar. It's instinctual. The science tells us that under pressure, or when we're not feeling good, the combination of fat and sugar, it's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. Dr. Nicole Avena of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, she says that the most addictive food is that slice of pizza, because of all that sugar and the tomato sauce, closely followed by chips, cookies and ice cream. I know I'm making you hungry, right? But it's okay. Your mind is just trying to help you feel good amongst a not so good feeling situation. So instead of licking the salt from the bottom of that packet of chips or crisps if you're in the UK, have a play with my 3 favourite hacks for overcoming stress in those moments. Instead of reaching for that 3rd or 4th coffee, take some ginkgo instead. Now, ginkgo is not for you if you're on blood thinning medications such as warfarin. I always recommend that you check in with your herbalist if you're on any medication before you take a herb or a supplement to minimize those herb-drug interactions. But here's what I love most about ginkgo. Firstly, it protects your brain. So it's neuroprotective, but also in terms of dealing with work stress, ginkgo increases focus and concentration, and it supports memory recall. You'll get a similar, I've just had a coffee feeling, but without that coffee dip that comes a few hours later. Now here's something interesting I noticed with my coffee choices. Often I fancy a coffee, not because I want a coffee, but because I've forgotten to move, especially when you're down that spreadsheet rabbit hole. Or I'm craving some variety because I've been fixated on something for too long. So if you fancy a coffee, just check in with yourself and make sure it's actually the coffee that you're fancying. It's like when you're in the shower or you're walking the dog and the great ideas come flooding in. Your mind is still processing in the background, but you've released the mental handbrake by focusing on something else, particularly if it doesn't require a lot of processing power. Now, my next suggestion may feel a bit too weird to do at your desk. If that's the case, take yourself off to the loo and do it there. Do you remember the first time you watched or read Superman or Wonder Woman comics? Do you recall the superhero pose? Legs hip width apart, arms on your hips, hands on your hips, chest full and open and up, gaze directly ahead. Are you doing it with me right now? How do you feel? Now stay with it. Researchers have found that if you strike this pose for at least 2 minutes, your testosterone increases and your cortisol levels go down. Now, you're probably aware of testosterone's ability to make us stronger by building muscle mass and helping us to become leaner by supporting our fat metabolism. But did you know that testosterone is responsible for our inherent competitiveness and it helps us to focus? Men and women have testosterone. Men obviously have more. People who have low testosterone levels report feeling low on energy, tired, affects their memory, endurance, and their strength. Cortisol, it's sometimes referred to as the stress hormone. Now, it does lots of great things, so please don't think of cortisol as the common enemy. But cortisol is inflammatory, and high levels that circulate in your body for too long, they can have significant health consequences. This third hack works every single time. It's the power of the 4-7-8 breath. So when we're stressed, we tend to shallow breathe. You can tell you're shallow breathing because you can see your breathing in your shoulders. Your shoulders coming up around your ears, that's another clue. So let's reset our breath. Get those shoulders back down. Let's reset our breath so that instead of breathing into the top of our lungs, we're going to shift our focus and we're going to breathe all the way to the bottom of the lungs. So let's play with this together. Place your hands across your belly, around where your belly button is, and the tips of your fingers are just touching. Now, imagine that your belly is a balloon and your intention is to slowly fill that balloon. Notice how, without even thinking about it as you do this, your fingers are moving apart. That's the clue. And then on the out breath, your diaphragm does all the work. It gently deflates that balloon. If you find yourself yawning at the end of the breath, then try focusing on your breathing technique a few more times, because it means that your body's signaling, let's get some more oxygen in. So what's the 4-7-8 breath? Well, we do those breathing into the belly breaths nice and slow. But we're going to use the focus of counting to aid us in relaxing. So we breathe in for a count of 4, we hold it for a count of 7, and then we breathe out for a count of 8. Are you ready to have a go? Let's do it together. Let's do it 3 times. I'm going to guide you, so breathe with me. You can put your hand on your heart as well if you want some further relaxation. So here we go, breathing in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Breathe in for 4. 2, 3, 4. Hold for 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
8. Now counting in your mind, breathe in for 4. Hold for 7. Out for 8. Find your own natural rhythm in your breath now. Good. Here we go. Now tell me, how do you feel right now? If you're not feeling calmer right now, slow down your count and do it again. So there you have it. When you're in the midst of a stressful event, reach for these 3 hacks. Choose ginkgo over coffee, strike a superhero pose, and think 4, 7, 8. Breathe in for 4, hold for 7, breathe out for 8. Nice and slow. I'm sending you lots of love. Bye for now.
Hey, thanks for listening to today's podcast. Can I ask you a favour? If our conversation spoke to you today, could you please take a moment to leave a 5-star review? Your review will help people discover this podcast, and together we can create a world where there's even more love and more laughter. And if you want to hear more from the Project Joyful podcast, just click the subscribe button. Bye for now.